This is Winning Cures Everything. Here's your host, Gary Seegers.
It is June the 10th. It's Monday. I am Gary Seegers, your host. You can follow me on Twitter at GaryWCE. You can follow the show at Winning Cures. We do Winning Cures Everything every day, at least 10 to 15 minutes or so. Sometimes it's 20, sometimes it's 30, etc., especially whenever Chris is with me because we like to talk. Either way, if you like the show, share it out. Hit subscribe on whatever form you are watching it, Periscope, YouTube, the podcast if you're listening to it. That's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, any of your favorite podcast apps. We're on it. We appreciate you being here. Here's the rundown for today's show. We're talking Warriors-Raptors. Game 5 is tonight. I'm going to give you some picks. I'm going to tell you what I think. UFC 238 was Saturday night. I'm going to talk about the UFC lightweight division and what in the world is going on there from a casual fan, right? Justin Bieber and Tom Cruise, I'm going to talk a little bit about that. The University of Alabama rejected a $26.5 million donation. I'm going to explain what the national media has got wrong. And David Ortiz was shot over the weekend. I'll talk just a hair about that. The show, as always, brought to you by betnow.eu. You go check them out for yourself. It's a fantastic sports book. They're awesome. You can use promo code WINNING50. That's WINNING50. They'll give you a 50% deposit bonus. It's betnow.eu. Great odds. As a matter of fact, you could probably go put some money. Well, not probably. You can go put some money on tonight's Raptors game. I'm going to tell you exactly what you need to do with that. Let's jump into, let's jump into the first topic. The Raptors and the Warriors, Game 5 tonight. The line opened up at the Raptors -3. They're at home in a possible closeout situation. Everything that I heard was that Kevin Durant would probably not be back. And now that we have gotten to this point, the report is that he will be playing this evening. Now, I don't know why or how things changed so drastically, because there were people that were in the arena while he was doing shoot-around that said there's no way that he's going to play. He's a shell of himself, right? So from that happening last night around 10 p.m. to today where they're saying, I looked good in warm-ups, he looked good in shoot-around, I'm not sure that I'm buying that. Klay Thompson still doesn't look right. Kevon Looney came back way too quick. He wasn't going to be an offensive spark anyway. I am all over the Raptors tonight. The line opened up Raptors -3. It has been bet so far the other way that the Warriors are now a 1-point favorite. So you got Raptors +1. You can get the Raptors on the money line. I got them at -105. That's it. You put in, we'll do it for easy sake. Put in $5, you get like $4.76 back, right? Or it pays off $4.76. So I am all over the Raptors. I think Marc Gasol has a big game. I've got him over 9.5 points. I've also got him over 1.5 3-pointers for tonight. I think he hits at least 2, maybe 3. I think Gasol has a big game. I think everybody on the Raptors has a big game. This is a defensive team. They will play defense tonight. I am all over the Raptors. I think they close this thing out. This reminds me of the Pistons against the Lakers years ago when the Lakers had such a star-studded lineup, with Karl Malone and Gary Payton and all that bunch, and everybody just assumed they were going to walk through. And the Pistons were the better overall team, and I think the Warriors right now are just a shell of themselves. I think injuries have completely decimated this team. The chemistry is off. Something's weird. There was a report, so The Athletic came out and started talking, I believe it was yesterday, about how there are players in the organization in Golden State that are frustrated and don't understand why KD isn't playing. And I'm not sure. I think that this is maybe peer pressure, right? I think Barstool Sports actually put something up about it and was like, is KD playing tonight because, his teammates are pissed that he's not playing? And I think that might have something to do with it. We'll see early on whether or not KD's got it. But you can't expect a guy to come back after, over a month off of not being able to play at all. Can't even run. Can't do anything. And he's just supposed to hop back in and be a savior. Now, if we see something like that, props to him. That will be absolutely incredible to watch. But I ain't buying it. I'm going on probability here. I think the Raptors understand if they let it get to a Game 7, they are in trouble. You knock it out tonight, you ain't got to worry about the last 2 games. Go out there tonight. You know that you are as good as this team, if not better. Get it taken care of at home. That place will be a frenzy tonight. I'm looking forward to the game. Let's move on to topic number 2. UFC 238 was on Saturday night. And I'm not going to talk about Cejudo. I'm not going to talk about anything else. I enjoyed 238. Now, I had it on one television. I had Triple G's knockout on the other television. 238 with Tony Ferguson and Cowboy Cerrone. Ferguson wins because the doctors would not let Cowboy continue fighting after his eye swelled up, right? Once it swelled up, he couldn't see out of his right eye. And that all happened because there was a doctor on Twitter that explained that it was like a sinus fracture. So he blew his nose, and when he did, his eye swelled up, and he couldn't see anything, and they had to call the fight. Now, what this does, one, it sets Cerrone back 6 months. But now we've got Cowboy Cerrone, Dustin Poirier, Tony Ferguson, Khabib, Conor McGregor. Like, that's your 5 big names. So at this point, you're thinking Ferguson fights the winner of Khabib and Poirier. Now, where does that leave Conor? Does Conor come back and fight Cerrone now? Like Cerrone coming off of a loss? Does Conor try and get in and get a rematch against Khabib, whether he wins or loses? If Poirier wins against Khabib, does he have to fight? Does Conor fight the loser of Khabib Poirier? Or does Ferguson? Does McGregor not come back? Does McGregor fight the loser of Khabib and Poirier? I mean, it's a weird spot to have 5 guys. And you got to figure out what McGregor is going to do. Who is going to be his next fight? And I think 238 gave us even more questions because Cowboy's a fan favorite. Tony Ferguson is a fan favorite. Dustin Poirier, he's not a huge name, but he is quickly rising. And then you've got Khabib, who's one of the biggest stars in the world. I'm not sure which direction they're going to go. I think you have to figure out what Conor's going to do first. And I don't think they have any idea what they're going to do. It would be nice if there was some kind of a plan. And I wish UFC would go on and do that because I would love to be able to see, okay, this is what we can expect next. But it's almost exactly like boxing where there's no success, there's no planning. There's no anything. It's just things just come together sometimes. And I would rather see all of these fights. I'd love to see McGregor against Poirier. I'd love to see McGregor against Ferguson. I'd love to see McGregor against Cerrone. I wouldn't mind seeing Khabib and McGregor again. I wouldn't mind seeing Khabib against Cowboy, Khabib against Ferguson. I want to see all of it. So we got to find a way to make all of these fights happen. One way or another, regardless who's champion, I just want to see the fights. So we'll move off of that one. Let's jump into topic number 3. Justin Bieber challenged Tom Cruise to a UFC fight. Now, Bieber is 25 years old? Cruise is in his 50s. Cruise, 2 inches shorter, probably got a little more weight on him than Bieber does. Bieber looks like he might be able to throw a little bit. I don't know who I would go with. I think Tom Cruise, when you get older, you get like dad strength, right? I think I would have to go with Cruise in a fight like this, mainly because one, I feel like I respect Tom Cruise more. Bieber, he's got kind of the hood look, right? The long, stringy hair. He's thin, got all the tattoos, all that kind of mess. And then you've got Tom Cruise, who's a little more clean cut. Looks like he's got a little more muscle on him. He's thicker. Regardless of the reach and everything else, which Bieber's got the reach, Bieber has, the height. I think I'm going with Tom Cruise. Like, old man strength is a real thing. You don't have to work out every day, which I still think Tom Cruise probably does that, but you don't have to work out every day to have dad strength, to have old man strength. And Cruise has got that. So I'm all in on Tom Cruise on that. I'm sure we will see more about it. Conor McGregor jumped in and said that he would host the fight. There's a bunch of people that said, yeah, I'd like to host this. That would be entertaining as hell. And I agree with it. And so I'd love to see something like this. You remember Celebrity Deathmatch? Celebrity Deathmatch was so good. Like, I wish that they would bring that stuff back because it was so entertaining every Friday night on MTV. Absolutely loved it. All right, let's jump off of that. We'll jump into a really interesting topic from the weekend. The University of Alabama rejected a $26.5 million donation from a guy named Hugh Culverhouse. And the national media went absolutely bonkers on this. It was reported like 3 weeks ago that they were returning, or he had asked for like the $10 million donation to be returned. Well, then everything comes down on Friday night, and the Board of Trustees agrees, yeah, we're going to give back everything, and we're rejecting what he's planning on giving us in the future. Wait, this was $26.5 million over 4 years. What came out with the Washington Post and NPR put out an article about it, etc. Culverhouse spun this thing around to where the story was the University of Alabama is giving him his money back because he is protesting the abortion ban in the state of Alabama. Now, I'm not a fan of the abortion ban anyway, but this is a perfect example of how things get twisted and people only see what they want to see, right? Because you see all these things where people are going, oh, I can't believe this. That school is twisted. That school is ridiculous. I'm never hiring anybody from the University of Alabama. I'm never da-da-da-da. It's got nothing to do with that. His donation was rejected because he was attempting to tell the university, one, how to run their law school, and two, what to do with the donation that he gave them. Now, there were certain stipulations with that donation. The stipulations were, you are giving this to us, and we will do with it the right thing by our school. Like, we've already got a plan in place. Well, this guy came in with an ego and said, no, I'm going to give you this, and this is what you're going to do with it. And by the way, I think you're running the school wrong. I think you need to run it this way and this way and this way. It is all about ego and control. And the guy, Culverhouse, is not even an alum from the school. He lives in Florida. His parents, who have now passed, his parents went to school in Alabama. He grew up here, but he went to school elsewhere. He lives in Florida. So there's really no reason to stay connected with this guy. It's always good. It's always good to receive money, I guess, right? But man, I totally side with the university or any university that will stand up for what they believe in. Not so much the abortion ban, but not letting somebody else run your school. Money is not everything. So cheers to them for that. I'm all about it. Let's move on. Last topic. David Ortiz was shot in the Dominican Republic the other night, or last night actually, Sunday night. And they said that it was a robbery gone wrong. Well, the video has come out since then, and I have not seen a lot of updates about this story or anything like that, but there was no way that was a robbery. He was sitting at a bar, and somebody came up behind him and shot him in the back. Now, he got lucky because it went in through the back, it passed through the abdomen, and then went out the other side. And, he's going to survive. Apparently, from what everything has been told, the Red Sox have sent a plane down. They're going to bring him back to Boston, etc. But that is the craziest story. And it's definitely something that you don't want to see if you are, if you're planning on traveling internationally. Because this guy just walks into a bar with a gun. It's insane to think about. So, yeah, it's pretty sad. My buddy Chris, who co-hosts the show with me most of the time, he's huge Big Papi fan, right? Huge David Ortiz fan. He's a Red Sox fan, grew up, I'm not going to say idolizing, but David Ortiz was one of his heroes. And when that news broke last night, we were trying to record some college football previews that we're going to release starting next week. And you could just see everything. I mean, all the color drained from his face. I mean, it really affects a lot of people. David Ortiz, we wish you the best. We're glad you're okay. Good gracious. I mean, it's just a crazy story. So, remember, I'm on the Raptors tonight, +1. Take the money line. It's -105 or whatever it is at most places. But take the Raptors to win tonight. I like Marc Gasol over 9.5 points. I like him over 1.5 3-pointers. I'm all about it. Let's go Raptors. We appreciate you guys being here. As always, go check out everything over at winningcureseverything.com. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Leave some comments. Leave some nice reviews for us at Apple Podcast. We'll see you guys again tomorrow. Thanks for checking out Winning Cures Everything. If you want to keep up with us, hit subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. Visit the website at winningcureseverything.com, or you can like us on Facebook or follow us at Winning Cures, at Gary WCE, or at Chris B. Giannini on Twitter. Share out the show, leave a nice review, and make sure to comment and tweet at us.